5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Facebook is giving us
action.
Action, Jackson.
Action.
That's an alligator.
No, that's the thing with the number on it.
It's called a clapperboard.
That.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a clapperboard.
Yes.
No, does that mean we should do something now?
It looks more like a clapperboard than an alligator, I think.
Does it?
No?
It might do.
Apart from the fact that it doesn't look like either.
It looks like you doing something weird.
Clapping.
And how unusual. Clapping. Isn't there an STD called the clap?
I don't know.
It just popped
How would I know?
How would you know?
How would I know?
I don't know. It's this kind of thing that kids pick up. Oh, I don't mean they get it. I mean they
kids
learn
pick up at school, right?
Well, there you go. Right.
STD called the clap.
I had this book at school called the
clap.
It was a freebie from the local health authority. No, I actually I had this book, The Diary of a Teenage Health Freak.
Oh.
Don't ask me
why.
Why did you have it? Don't ask me why, because I like the cover.
Okay.
You know, the same way in the modern world, you've got the Diary of the Wimpy Kid or something like that, right? Well, it was done in that kind of style.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Or who you're going to love by your lover. Are you okay? Just cough.
Sorry, I'm just coughing.
Unprofessional that is to cough into your mic.
I didn't. I lifted up and I put my hand down like that.
Up, down. And
I did the up, down cough.
Do the up, down thing, right? And then clap. So, stop it.
Sorry.
It's really annoying.
That didn't even work.
My
clapperboard is broken.
You missed. You tried to clap and missed your own hand.
I did.
That's terrible.
I know.
Welcome to the Practical Parenting Podcast. We're going to disappear into the background again because the sun has just this very moment poked its head out from behind a dark cloud.
We look some kind of etheric.
You're making up words again, just to
beings,
just to try to be cool.
Yes, I do that.
We has Jazzy got a nappy on over there?
No, she hasn't. Jazzy, do you need to pee, my love? Would you like to hop on the potty? Jazzy had a bit of a regress. Is that a word?
Yes.
Regress.
It's the opposite of progress.
Yeah, with her peeing. But that happens to kids. I remember one day when Will was up completely fully potty trained, even during the night, and suddenly one day he decided to poop on the chair twice. Yes, again, it's the talk, but that's, that's a mummy talk.
Parenting stories.
Yes, exactly. So it's a regress in her potty training, and she's been having a hard time yesterday and today as well. She's had an accident today as well in the morning, and she, when I saw it, she was genuinely.
I'm really nervous about this because. Well, for obvious reasons. I'm nervous about it because I know that we're pushed for time to do things, and that I know especially you are under a lot of pressure to do things, and I know that it just lessens the amount of time you have to spend on all the key important things if you have to clean up a little accident as it happens.
Yes, I know, but this is you cannot just reintroduce.
Thumbs up. We got thumbs up.
No, seriously.
Would you believe it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We really appreciate that. That's like the first one in weeks.
Wow.
So, I know.
That's so cool. I think I'm going to celebrate today.
Celebrate? Does it mean bottle of wine?
You crazy?
Flask of flask of beer? What is a flask?
You
Do they have
crazy?
flask of beer?
I might have a
cask of beer.
I have a cup of tea with some.
Cinnamon.
Yeah, why not?
Does cinnamon go in tea? I think it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. You can have apple and cinnamon tea and stuff.
Oh, you had cinnamon in your coffee yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
didn't you? I remember that. I remember something.
It was good.
Okay. Jake, welcome to the conversation. If you've got any questions about parenting, are you a parent? Do you care? Do you pay any rent? Please. Do you have any problems with your parents?
Okay.
Do you? Sorry.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Where
What are
where
you
are we
doing?
where are we going? We've done, look, the sun's come out again. Could you put the sun away, please?
No. Well, I've hung down the towels to kind of.
You've hanged down the towels. Is that a word? Hanged.
I've hung up the towel.
Hung up the towels to block all the light coming.
My
into
English
the flat.
doesn't work anymore today because I've spent the whole night using it yesterday, and I think I've over-Englishified my brain.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, I wouldn't have been able to guess that from the last sentence. Not at all. Absolutely not at all.
Yes, I was working on a very long text.
Yes.
Translated from Slovak to English.
It was about a really interesting subject, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's about hygiene.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
Hi, how are you?
Yes.
Sorry.
And
anyway.
about cleaning
Things.
Yeah, in companies stuff.
Actually, that relates to. I was going to say that's kind of interesting because one of my clients works in that area as well.
Yeah.
The Kimberly Clark. Did you know that Kimberly Clark? This is ridiculous info, right? Kimberly Clark have 170 different kinds of disposable hand towels. 170 different types.
That they produce or that they use?
Well, both. You have to produce it if you want to use it, don't you? So, I mean, it's a pretty stunning statistic because like most people go to the shop and they either buy a dry wipe or a wet wipe, right?
Don't.
What?
Why do you even have wipe your hands in disposable in disposable hand towels? Do you know how unecological that is?
What is?
You should just have a towel, right?
Hand towels are not ecological.
You should just have a towel, or you should have that blower thing that you have in the public toilets, where you just put your hands in and then you take them out and they dry, right? And there's no paper waste produced. I mean, who needs disposable 170 disposable hand towels?
Companies that are producing products in factories and have assembly lines and all of those things. They do. They need these machines. You need special
dispensers.
What do they call it? Non-static things that they pull the. Okay, here's an example.
Okay.
When you're car production line, right? So at one point on the production line, the car has to get sprayed, right? Now, when the car gets sprayed for its color, you cannot have any dust in that room because, the dust will go into the car and you spray the dust onto the car.
Obviously.
Right. So everything's got to be ultra clean. So they have to have these special wipes that make sure that all the small pieces of fluff and everything stay on the wipe and don't, go off into the air. So crazy
for their hands.
Crazy stuff, right? Crazy stuff.
That is completely crazy.
Well, it's not. Well, they even have special gloves they have to wear.
Yeah.
Special rooms they have to go through to make sure they're not taking the wrong kinds of.
Yeah, I know.
Fibers.
I know. I understand. I understand. Yeah, I've just translated a lot about how you use transition spaces so that you don't bring the contamination from the outside to the inside.
Isn't it weird that we've both been working on that with different clients?
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think it's like when you live with someone, how how people sometimes harmonize in different areas of life. Maybe that's happening.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I'm aware of something like that does exist. Meanwhile, I'm turning down the volume of a Tinkerbell in the background. Right. The diary. I'm going to get to this. The diary of the teenage health freak.
Okay.
Right. So I think originally there were the Adrian Mole books. Now, I don't know if you ever got that. Okay. And they were the first, like, how a teenager should live their life and the problems a teenager might have, like, and it became really big. Yeah. Then there was the diary of the teenage health freak, and then later on the diary of the wimpy kid. So they're all kind of the same book for different generations of teenagers, right?
Okay. The wimpy kid is for teenagers. I thought it was like, the ages like 9, 10, no?
Okay.
I don't know. I've never read it, so
age of
maybe
teenagers.
preteens or something.
Yeah. Isn't the wimpy kid sort of this diary thing? So he has to grow up, right? You can't continue to write the same diary. So it's like it starts at a certain age and then
it could be
progresses,
it
right?
Could be.
So it starts at a younger age.
I told you I don't know because I haven't read it. I don't know. I just saw it, but
the film. It's a film as well.
Oh, just a book on the shelf
anyway.
In the library, and I was thinking, would Will like that? And I thought maybe not just yet.
It's funny because the title, "The Diary of a Wimpy Kid," you wouldn't have the diary of a
macho
kid. Oh.
Yeah. The diary of a super cool, super popular guy, loved by everyone, who has no problems.
That wouldn't make a very interesting storyline, would it?
Yeah, I know.
you can't have a storyline without conflict and
without a
conundrum and crisis. Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely. Anyway, I had that book, and there was I'm not going to mention it again because it's like a constant repetition of the same title, and it had a section in it on sexually transmitted diseases.
Oh.
I remember there was 3 pages, and I remember reading through them and being horrified, which I think was the whole point of it, actually. the whole point of that section of the book was to horrify
kids,
teenagers, and scare the bejesus out of them, as they say. So
they never approach opposite sex.
Opposite sex? No, they only approach the same sex after that, apparently.
That's not what I meant.
What? Oh, okay. So, sorry. I was trying to be all politically correct, which is pointless in the modern world. Because no matter what you do, you offend somebody. So you might as well just start by offending everybody and get it over with, right?
Oh, you just have to say, I have no opinion on anything, and then you'll be okay.
I haven't checked the streams. I haven't checked. Oh, you haven't seen that? Look,
no.
You haven't seen this. I made a little advert for us there.
Yeah?
There, yeah.
Is that the original advert?
Well, it's the original advert for the webinar that I cut up and turned it into an advert for the podcast.
Oh.
How cool is that?
Oh.
Reusing the old material in a new way.
Yeah.
Didn't think about doing that, did you?
No, I didn't.
There we go. Look. It looks nice, doesn't it?
It does.
The audio is a bit jumpy, but I just did it as I don't care, just.
I have a friend who made an advert recently, and she did it without audio, but with writing,
Because people never listen.
Yeah. So I was thinking that.
They just watch.
When you have your free time, you could just add like these, not subtitles, but just short messages like free webinar while we're talking, the date, and it would
you want me to write it on paper and hold it up to the people on Facebook so that they can...
No, I mean, when into the video, you could edit the video when you have a free time. Because I know you've got a lot of that. You basically don't do anything all day. Just trying to piss it off.
Talking about
things
that happen that piss people off.
Oh, she fell asleep.
2 things at the same time. Number 1, our daughter has just
fallen asleep without a nappy on.
She's fallen asleep without a nappy on the sofa. That's a high probability.
It's just never a good sign.
It's a high probability of accident. Second, the neighbours who are not supposed to work. We're doing this earlier today, aren't we? Aren't we? We, yes.
We started earlier, but is it not? Oh no, it's not. It's not 1 o'clock
It's not
yet.
1 o'clock yet.
Oh,
They're not supposed to work
they
from
just
1
went
o'clock
knock,
to-
knock, knock. You can't even really hear that, though, can you?
You can't even really hear that. It's
I mean,
one
you
of
can
those
hear that, but you
statements
can't hear that on the through the. It's not going to pick that up.
I don't know, and I don't like that risking of, well, we'll wait and see. I'd rather know how it's going to turn out.
I know
right?
you
I mean,
would.
it's not
No.
really much of a strategy to...
That's your thing.
It's not really much of a strategy to go, oh, well, maybe it'll be good. You know, what is that?
But sometimes
Like,
you have to take
know.
risks.
Everything I do, every 5 minutes, I take a risk in my life. What are you talking about?
Well, this is just one of them.
Oh, dear. I've taken risks all morning.
Have you?
Yes. So.
Well, like while eating my lunch, for example, that
Well,
was a risk, right? Eating the weird thing
I
that
wasn't
we
sure what
had
to
for
call it.
lunch today.
What did you call
I
it?
called it weird thing.
Weird thing.
Yeah.
The recipes, page 73. Yanka's weird thing.
Can you imagine a restaurant menu? You know, like
In this country, I could imagine a restaurant
You
in
have
this country with.
pork chops and beef steak and weird thing.
Well, they'd give it another name, wouldn't they? They'd call it Yanka's surprise,
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
Or
Surprise!
Yanka's mystery.
Mystery or potluck.
Potluck.
Potluck, they'd call it potluck, wouldn't
That's a
they?
good one.
What are we going to do about the kid that's fallen asleep on the couch without a nappy? or
Do you
whatever?
want me to go and stick a nappy on her?
Well, the alternative is to sit or stand here and wait for her to pee on the couch and then
watch it
panic.
happen. Yeah.
I don't like that.
No?
Personally, I don't like
No.
that.
It's my hobby. It's one of my
Option.
hobbies. I love to do that.
Yesterday,
Mm.
I was watching on the
Yesterday.
bed, cleaning the bed yesterday.
You will not believe
You will,
yesterday,
you will,
seriously.
You will, you have to believe it.
So,
It's true.
baby sleeps in her bed, right, in the afternoon.
No, 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 no.
She pees herself.
No, no,
So
no, no,
I
no.
strip the bed, right? I clean it, and I don't have a hairdryer. So
'Cause
I dry it with
I
an
don't have
iron,
any
right?
hair.
So I'm sitting on the bed, ironing the mattress, right? For like 15 minutes.
There is nothing more ridiculous than watching somebody
Because-
iron a mattress.
Because that takes a while. I had a deadline in the evening, which I have met, but only just, okay? And I had to spend like 15 minutes sitting on the bed ironing the mattress while I could have been working. Never mind. So I've stripped everything and I've washed everything and I've washed the duvet, yada, yada, yada. About half an hour later, right? Maybe an hour later,
Bum.
I go to the bedroom. I hear G shouting from the bedroom. Josie was jumping on the bed and she peed on the bed in the same spot again.
She was quite happy about that.
And she was quite happy about that. It was
She
like
was.
she did it on purpose. She was like, oh, look, there was a puddle and now it's not. So I'm going to put it there again. So she
Well,
did.
she was obviously missing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had to do the whole thing again, right?
Kid's idea.
You know, wash it, dried with the iron, sitting there for 20 minutes, just doing that.
Ironing the bed.
Ironing the bed. Yeah.
We now have the flattest bed
Yeah.
ever. There's not
And,
one single crease. No.
So hey, I learned from my mistakes, right? So I put a nappy on her, and I'm thinking, great, I put a nappy on her, everything's safe. Come in the bedroom 30 minutes later, and I see Zora with a cloth, and I'm like, Zora, why do you have that cloth on the bed? And she said, oh, I've spilled some water, and she spilled like half a bottle of mineral water, right, on the bed again. Right next to that spot that I've already dried twice. So, well, at least I didn't have to clean it, right?
Oh.
I just dried it, but still. I spent another 20 minutes sitting on the bed, ironing it.
Right.
So I spent my whole bloody day yesterday ironing the bed.
Just one of those things, I suppose.
Yeah,
No.
that was great. You want me to go and put some nappy on her?
Well, I'm just saying that it might save the couch. It might save you a problem later on if you try to solve that problem now. Well, I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to imagine the kinds of troubles that we could be getting ourselves into here. So, yeah, Yankee had a pretty rough day yesterday. She was cleaning up after the kids a lot of the time, and doing all those mothering duties that just they all add all those little duties they all add up very 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 slowly to fill.
Very, very slowly.
Well,
They add up very, very
they add up
quickly.
they add up to fill up, right? That's what happens. They add up to fill up your life.
That's why I
basically.
missed all that freaking glass on the bench, isn't it?
Oh, the glass, because the glass jumped out of the cupboard last
Yeah.
night and smashed itself on the
Yeah.
floor,
Yeah.
right?
A glass
according
jumped
to you.
at me from the cupboard and it
Jumped at you.
smashed itself on the floor.
Did it say anything before it jumped at you, like a
Kamikaze.
in
It did
a
actually.
Japanese accent,
Yeah.
followed by the sound of a plane.
So, you know,
Planes always make
the
that noise.
glass sprayed over the table.
Well, excuse me, we've reached a point of achievement here. Will has finished something.
Have you finished your broken sword?
You finished Broken Sword. Can I see the tablet? Can I see the home screen there? The finish screen, the end screen, the last screen.
He says.
Oh, it's just the credits. I
it's
wanted
just
to
the
show it on
credits.
here, but it's
Yeah.
just the credits going up. Okay, and the sticky fingers.
Skip that because
So I'm not going to skip anything at all. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm giving
Yeah.
it right back to you.
An end
my
scene.
favorite song from the game.
Yeah. Ah, okay, that's super cool. I'll have to find those songs.
Yeah, so
I
the
didn't know it
glass
had
sprayed
songs.
all over the table.
That's one of those puzzle games, is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, no?
Yeah.
Broken Sword ones are
The
good.
broken sword is great.
recommend-
William
recommend
learned
Broken Sword.
William learned how to read thanks to the broken sword. Do you remember that? He started out playing not knowing how to read, and he was so motivated.
Grappling hook out of a crowbar and sheets.
Okay, you can tell us all about your tactics for solving the problems a little bit later, Will,
That's
Right.
how he learned how to read, because he had
Oh.
to read the hints,
in the games.
and he was motivated to learn how to read. Yeah.
There you go, you know.
He started out,
As you do.
asking me to read it for him, and he ended up reading it himself. He just learned in between.
That's nice.
I know.
It's nice when it all works out. It's nice when it all comes together.
Yeah.
Basic.
Anyway, so the glass sprayed all over the table. The glass sprayed all over the sitting bench.
How did it get everywhere?
I don't know.
What did it? Did it like jump off and then smash on the floor, and then jump up onto the table and smash on the table, and then jump up onto the bench and smash
Well,
on
what
the
I
bench?
thought is that it jumped out of the.
It was a small glass. You said it was a short glass.
It was a shot glass. I thought that it jumped out of the bench and landed on the table because I didn't really see it because it jumped by itself. I told you, I thought it jumped out and it smashed on the kitchen table, right? Because I've found bits on kitchen table, and that's why it never occurred to me to even check the bench, right? Which was really stupid because I should have. So I've cleaned up the floor and I've hoovered up the kitchen table and I've hoovered up the sitting bench because there were little bits on the sitting bench as well. So I've cleaned that.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
That's the other side of the kitchen.
Yes. And then and I hoovered like these tiny little bits that you could only see because they're reflected from the sun, right? And then this morning, G wakes
when
me
you
up.
shake the table here with your hand.
Oh, that shakes. I'm sorry.
The whole
And this
camera
morning,
shakes.
G wakes me up
Yeah.
saying, "There's a lot of glass on the bench," and I'm like, "What?" And there was a lot of glass on the bench.
I almost
And
ate it for
I
breakfast
completely missed
because
it.
I spilt some of the muesli onto the bench, and I had my bowl, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just scrape the muesli from the bench into my bowl."
Mhm.
At which point I realized there was glass. So I was like a second away from scraping the muesli into the bowl with all the glass and eating it for breakfast. That would have been the end of me.
Well, you probably wouldn't swallow
And
it.
they're talking about risk. I told you I risk something every 5 minutes, right? I've already risked my life
You
today
survived breakfast,
several times.
thankfully.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
my
I'm
God.
sorry for that. It was exactly in between me breaking a glass, tidying it up, trying to meet the deadline, and having to iron the bed 3 times. So I suppose my head just kind of missed out.
You kind of didn't know which direction to look in, did you?
No.
With all that going on. And you had your translation to finish as well.
Yeah, I was trying to get every free moment possible to do that.
Not many free moments yesterday.
No.
As it goes.
But that's how it works out. Every time when if I have to work during the day, okay, every time, it's the time when the kids are the most, what do you call it? What's the word?
Excited, overcharged,
No.
full of energy, disruptive,
demanding. Yeah, demanding.
A list of
Because and it's logical, because I don't give them attention, they ask for it, right?
Oh, it's the.
I mean, if I didn't have anything to do, I would naturally
psychological
give
state.
them attention, and
Right.
they would be more calm when I need a second to do something else, right? Because they would be more filled, if you know what I mean.
You mean more filled? What?
More filled emotionally with attention.
Okay. Can you fill somebody with attention?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll go with that.
I can.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
Okay.
I can.
Well, we were looking earlier at different kinds of child's behavior and some ideas about what it can mean when children behave in certain ways.
Yeah. We always stress out. We always stress the point when we talk about parenting that a lot of parents, when the one mistake that a lot of parents do is they address the behavior rather than what's behind the behavior, right? And that way they end up with disconnect because their child is communicating something to them, but they're not responding to that communication. They're responding basically from the child's point of view, they're responding inappropriately, like they don't understand what the child's trying to say, right? And you've got a disconnect building up. So it's quite important to always think before we respond or before we react. It's always good to think and try to figure out what is actually really going on. What's the child communicating to me? And I think that this
So if I understand it
graphic,
if I understand it correctly, part of the problem is that, like a doctor, you're focusing on the
symptoms.
The symptoms, the result of what's causing the problem, rather than the actual problem itself.
Yeah,
'Cause the problem,
sometimes,
it began at another place in another time.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So it may seem counterintuitive sometimes that when a child comes and does something horrible, you would like to just send them to the room, but instead you if you understand the need behind it, you're going to empathize, cuddle, be really nice to the kid. Somebody seeing that would think, oh, wait a minute, but that child just hit you. Why did you cuddle them? Right? That doesn't make any sense. But you know that if the child hits me, he's being aggressive. He's probably stressed out or something, or he needs my
well, what you're looking at is
whatever.
You're looking at a reaction to something.
Yeah.
Not the cause. You're looking at the reaction.
Yeah.
You're reacting to the reaction, which takes you even further away from solving the problem.
Yeah, so exactly. So, if you react without thinking about why the child just hit me, you could hit the child back, or you can send them to the room, or you can tell them off and say, no hitting, it's not nice to hit, and you don't address what he's trying to communicate to you. So he's like, well, I'm telling my mom that I need her attention, and she just told me off for that, right? So the kid's like, I'm not very happy. I'm going to have to get her attention in a different way. And they'll go and spill the milk all over the floor or whatever, right?
That gets your attention. For
and of course, that's not going to work. So the disconnect just grows bigger. So the motivation behind the behavior is usually is usually different than what it looks like.
So let's talk through some of the ideas that are presented here. The first one
Okay.
is that kids who whine, and I've talked about whining before, usually the kid feels powerless, something similar to the fact that they can't cope. Very often they need an opportunity to release their emotions or feelings in that kind of situation. So what's your perspective? Is that do you think that's right in some way, or does it miss the mark?
Yes, I think whining definitely is a sign of feeling of powerlessness because you know
You whine when something goes wrong and you can't do anything about that thing
or
going
if you
wrong. Don't
yes, or if you want something but you can't get the other person to give it to you, for example. You know, please, like Zora whines at Will when he doesn't want to play with her, for example. You know, and she's gonna go Will, and she'll just whine
Well,
the hell
it's
out of him.
it's repetition of the perceived need, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's what whining is.
Yes, but sometimes whining can just oh my god, like Zora had this time when she didn't speak, she just whined, right? She would just use whiny voice all the time.
Is that a real
Seriously.
voice? Whiny voice.
Whiny voice, and
Whiny
it just
voice.
drives you completely crazy
Whiny
because
voice.
there was like not one thing that she would say no. You know, she wouldn't come to you and she wouldn't say, "Mom, come and play with me." She would whine it, and even if it was the
Whine
first
it out.
time, you know, that she introduced something. I understand whining if you don't respond, or you know, whining if I say no and she really really wants it. I understand that, but she had this time when she would whine all the time. She would say good morning to you, whining it, right?
How'd you whine good morning?
Good morning, Mom.
Oh wow, that was really good.
Yeah, I know.
That's really good. You must have some experience with that. You did a great whiner.
I know.
Oh.
Ah, it sounds like a wino. doesn't it?
So how do you solve the problem, correct the problem, modify the problem?
Well, that's a good
How do you-
question.
What do you do?
What did
do you
I
do?
do? Well, first of all, you need a lot of self-control and patience, right? Because
And
it's
time. You need
really
patience, you need
hard.
time.
It's really difficult to you know, not to lose it when you get that all the time, right? It's really
Really? Really?
Next thing I did was I just tried to focus on what she was telling me rather than the whining, and I just responded to the needs that she was communicating to me, which were different, obviously. It varied from situation to situation. And when it came to the whining, I would just repeat again and again.
Rewind, repeat.
when she whined, but she wasn't actually in distress, because you can see that, right? When they're just whining for the sake of whining, and when they're whining because they're really distressed. So when she wasn't distressed, when she was okay, I would just tell her, can you please use your strong voice? Can you show me your strong voice? And we would play little
That's good.
games, right? And we would be like, this is my strong voice, right? I would tell her. And then I would whine something and say, oh, this is my whiny voice, or and it was like, I like to use my strong voice to be heard, blah 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 blah. Just play little
You
games.
could do it with puppets, right? You could have the strong puppet and the whiny puppet, right?
You could theoretically,
That's
yeah.
the idea.
It's even better to play with puppets or dolls or stuffed animals, because then you're not.
You're one step
saying-
away from reality. at that
Exactly. You're
point.
not saying things directly to your child. You're not making them feel guilty about something or ashamed of something, but you're talking about the stuffed animal, not about the kid. So it's easier for them to see things objectively in that situation.
It's a safe space, theoretically.
Yes.
You're creating a little bit of a space between the child and the real experience, hoping that the child's going to make the connection between those two things.
Yes, because when you're talking directly to the child, they may feel, that you have certain expectations towards them, that they can't really be truly honest because they don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever, But when you're just playing with puppets or with animals, then there's no risk in that for them, because it's not them, it's the animal that's doing it. Right.
Right. Talking about needs getting met, kids who are bossy and controlling are often like that because they're worrying that they won't get their needs met.
That's interesting. I can't really think of a situation of a child being bossy. I'm trying to think.
Well, imagine an environment where the child is maybe not being bossy towards a parent, but is being bossy towards another child.
Yeah.
Like
It's
a
usually
school kind of
kids are
environment.
usually bossy towards other children, not really the parent. I'm trying to think of a situation. Zora is sometimes bossy towards Will.
Well, it's definitely an attempt to get what you want without consideration of other people's needs. And
Yeah.
I'm using interchangeably the words want and
But it
need,
could
I
be.
realise
It could
that.
basically be the fight response to a situation where you feel threatened in some way, right?
Mhm.
Like you're worried that other kids will not want to play your game, for example. So you will start off by being bossy to,
Well, isn't there a possibility that those seeking to control are those who very often have an experience of not having any control, and they're craving control. The same principle with bullying, right? So it's the bully that is bullied at home.
Oh, so you
Right.
think that kids that don't get any control in situations could seek to have the control elsewhere, to gain it elsewhere?
But to have that experience of control, because everyone needs to have that experience, yeah. And so it could be the fact that maybe if a child's displaying this at school, it could be because their parents are bossy and controlling. They don't have any control at home. They feel a need to have some control over their life, so they express that in the school environment.
That would actually fit with the profile with what we talked about before, the whining.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, if our middle daughter is on one hand bossy and on the other hand whining, and basically she's displaying the same thing, right? The feeling of powerlessness or the feeling of less of control, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is very easy, I think, when you're a middle child. Being a middle child myself, right?
Of course.
Because often day is happening without any of your input, because mommy needs to take care of the baby, and the older child has already responsibilities and lessons to go to, blah blah blah, and a middle child often just gets kind of dragged along, both ways. So it can happen, I imagine.
Right. We will observe our children, and
Yeah. Maybe that's something that we should pay more attention to with the middle child.
yeah, they
Intentionally
do
not
get
saying the name.
they do get missed out sometimes, as parents tend to focus on the older or the younger, as they have more extreme needs. Anyway, moving on, kids who taunt or compete with siblings, talking about siblings, often need to feel more valued for who they are.
Absolutely, I agree. Absolutely, 100%.
You know,
Again.
they're looking for more connection to the parent as well.
Yeah. Especially the value thing.
Mhm.
Definitely the value thing. It's something that's I don't know. It's difficult, I think, for the kids. If you're a kid from a family that has more kids, which you're not, but when you are, I am, right? the competitiveness is there. I can't.
Competitiveness in terms of competing for the attention of the parent, or
Competing for the attention of the parent, yes. Competing for being valued, maybe, by the parent sometimes. Like, because sometimes it's enough for the parent to praise one of the kids, and it's enough for the other kids to feel less valued in the situation just because one of the children is being praised. I am not exactly sure, because obviously there must be something, because you have two situations, okay? Ideal situation is that parent praise the child and the other kids go, yes, that's true, he's really good at that. We all value him and he's an awesome member of our family. That's the situation that you want to have.
Okay.
That nobody feels not valued, everybody feels individually
appreciated,
unique and appreciated, yes. And nobody feels threatened, right? So if you don't feel threatened by the others, you don't feel jealous, and you don't feel that you're not valued.
Okay.
On the other hand is the situation that I described, right? Is the competitiveness, the jealousy, the seeking attention and seeking evaluation from the parent. And I have to give this a second thought, because I'm not quite sure what's the difference between, how do you create the individual environments? How do you, what is the single determining factor, that determines which situation you have?
Can you be a bit more specific about that?
Like, what did my parents do wrong? Okay. That's what I mean. It means, what went wrong in the situation where when one member of the family feels less valued or threatened by the others, in a way.
Okay. So what is the
what is the secret ingredient to?
You're trying to identify the source. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
because obviously there's a lack of self-worth in play. There's a lack of self-confidence in play, which there always is in jealousy. Where does it come from? What kind of
here's
criticism,
where
does it come from?
It's a trait in this country of Slovakia, where we are. It's a trait for people to not have control over their jealous instincts in this country. It's well known and well observed, especially amongst foreigners who come here, that Slovaks are extremely jealous people. Extremely jealous.
Yes.
They never look at what somebody else. They almost never. Okay, let's not make this an absolute. They almost never look at what somebody else has got and say, "Oh wow, that's so nice. That's so fantastic."
That must have taken so much hard work. Well done. And I've noticed that.
They don't. In a real sense, because you can just bullshit, right? So no bullshit, just in the real sense, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, where they tend
envy.
They tend to have problems controlling that element of their own character.
Yes.
So
I agree.
and that's a whole nation.
I agree, absolutely.
That's a whole nation. So
they say,
where does that come from as a nation? Never mind. Like
they say that a Slovak would envy your coffin, right? Seriously.
You can have mine. What do I care?
They can be, and it's ridiculous. You mean? It's like,
I know what you mean.
It's ridiculous. It's like somebody has a disabled child and they're going to be envious that he gets benefits from the government, right? Seriously.
It gets
that far.
It gets to that level.
It does. It's disgusting. So instead of saying, hey, that's really good job, or that's what a clever person to have achieved that success, they will what's the word? Talk them down. They will
I don't know. It's like they
will
it's like
talk
they're throwing
behind
knives at you.
Yeah, they'll talk behind your back and they'll say, oh, person's horrible because this and this. They will look for flaws and criticize, and it's just not a good trait. I don't know where we get it from. I don't know. It's lack of self-confidence. There must be a huge national, a lack of self-confidence on a national level.
Well, there's definitely
I mean,
the we're just a small country kind of feeling to it. We don't have much.
It's weird because
power.
on one hand, people are like, banging their chests, going, "We're Slovaks, and we have this, and we have that, and we're great." And
Are they?
yeah, they're like, "Oh, we have these beautiful mountains and this great nature." And
I don't see them doing that.
no.
I've never seen Slovaks doing that.
What about the nationalists? I mean,
I don't know. I've never hung out with any nationalists in the negative sense of the term. I mean, I know people who are proud of the correct things to be proud of about their country, but they're not nationalists to a point where it's what's the word? To the point where it becomes negative.
no.
To the point where it's
What about? Oh my
derogatory?
gosh, there's
Is that the
so many people. You haven't met the wrong people, obviously, because there's so many people who are
try to stay clear of the wrong people.
exactly. Me too,
The wrong
but
trousers,
I
damn it.
know for a fact that there's a lot of
Second time
people
I said
who like can't stand the Hungarians. Okay, for example, there's a lot of xenophobes around here because they go, the Hungarians are horrible because they live in south part of Slovakia. A lot of them, they'll go like the Czechs are horrible. We were competitive with the Czechs, right? Even though we used to be one nation. So
Well, there's a sort of
and we feel superior to the Polish because there's a lot of, especially when you go to UK, right, and you're an immigrant and a Polish person is an immigrant and you're on the same level, but the Slovak immigrants are gonna be like, oh God, that's Polish, and when somebody thinks that you're Polish, you're gonna be highly offended because you're Slovak, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. That's serious.
But multiculturalism is really going to work, right?
It's really ridiculous. I mean, I'm not
I'm all
being
for
over.
differences, but
I'm not being
Let's not be
overcritical
silly.
here. Yeah.
yeah.
We do have a problem with jealousy, with low self-confidence, and with a lot of envy. And
Yeah, it's.
I wish we didn't, but I was the same. I had exactly, well, until you start thinking about these things and you realize what you're doing, right? It might have something to do with the fixed mindset.
Thinking is rare
right?
in the modern world. Fixed mindset, growth mindset.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Because people with fixed mindset are envious and jealous. People with growth mindset
That's
can
true.
get motivated by the actions of others. They don't feel threatened. They know they can grow. And they know they can use the others. They can motivate
adapt.
themselves. They can adapt. They can be inspired. So we're probably just a country of fixed mindsets.
It always reminds me of that George Bernard Shaw quote that the humanity that survives will be that which is most able to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And the need for adaptation as society moves forward, hopefully, is quite clear. Really, you don't achieve progress by keeping things
The same.
You don't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. There's a sustainability, which is my problem with sustainability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're all we need things that are sustainable, right? So you want to keep everything the same. Well, no, that's not what we're saying, but it's going to be part of the result of that, for sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm all for let's not deplete unnecessarily.
I think to
the resources unnecessarily.
To keep things sustainable means to keep things going until you find a better solution. No. Not to get to a point where you're without any resources and stuck.
In that definition, with it defined that way, yes. but there's also another. There are many other ways to define sustainability. It's not always
Okay.
defined in the same way. There's a lot of comparisons that can be made between sustainability and rationing. And if you do that, then you start to see that it's not always positive to.
No, but
to
if you
worry
think
about
if you
it.
think about it like running a household, right, financially, okay, then in order to have a sustainability, from financial point of view, you have to ration, right? You can't earn your wages on the 15th and then spend it all on the 17th,
No.
right? You have to ration.
Well, I usually spend mine before the 17th, to be honest.
There you go. So.
Don't we all spend it before we get it? Ah.
So, you know what I mean? Some amount of rationing or sustainability, whatever you want to call it, sustainability through rationing, is essential if you have limited resources, and you do.
Yeah, but let's focus on the fact that it wouldn't necessarily be a focus on sustainability. It would be a focus on logic, right? It would be a focus on logic. Because you would logically do what you have to do to make sure that you don't end up in a bad situation.
Yes, but isn't sustainability a result of logical thinking of that sort? You want to achieve sustainability, because you don't want to just achieve sustainability because you love the word, right? You want to achieve it because you have some kind of reason. There is some kind of logic behind it.
Yeah, I've always wondered sustainable for who. When people talk about sustainability, there always seems to be somebody who's benefiting more than others from that kind of situation. Anyway, getting back to talking about kids who don't listen often feel that their desires are. Does that make sense?
I don't know.
Kids who don't listen often feel their desires are.
What?
Would be unacknowledged. No. It says here in the statement, kids who don't listen often feel their desires are acknowledged. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Often don't feel. You can't read.
Oh, I can't read. That makes sense. That explains it.
People who can't read often feel.
Often feel that nothing makes any sense. Oh dear. There we go. Right. That's interesting, isn't it?
So kids who don't listen often don't feel.
You know what I did?
Their
Do you know what I did
desires are
psychologically? I think what I did psychologically. There are two negatives in the sentence, and I removed the second one because it's not logical.
Because you're a teacher. And you don't do double negatives, and you always have to remove them from
Yes.
sentences.
I trained myself to do that so much, and so often that I.
So
I do it even
kids who don't listen feel that their desires are not being acknowledged, right?
Yeah. So I changed it into the right sense, but it was right anyway.
I think it makes sense in some situations.
Does anyone understand me? I don't know.
They don't listen. They did. I don't know.
Well, it would be the fact that they haven't had experiences, or the experiences haven't been modeled where listening promotes some kind of advantage.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yes.
I agree with that. I wanted to add something, but I forgot what, because I'm blown away by your sentence.
You're also scratching yourself down there.
I'm not. I think I've got a bellyache.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've got one as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or?
I thought that was my stomach making that noise. Was that yours?
That was mine.
That was yours?
Yeah.
Yeah? Are you going to last? Are you going to hold on?
You got to hold on to what you've got.
Doesn't make a difference if you make it or not.
It does make a difference. It makes a huge difference, actually.
Living on a prayer. Does it?
I
can't. I'm not even going to talk about what I can see happening.
No, you're gonna.
Because because it
Now
if you apply pressure to certain parts of your body, you actually feel.
now you're going
safe.
to think about this every time you hear that song. You
No,
know
no, I'm not. I'm going to instantly forget about it as I do with most things like that because I've got
What's
other
with
stuff
most
to
things, period.
because I've got other stuff to think about.
So you
Stop
said
We're talking about
they don't have
listening.
experience with listening. If
Yeah,
if
but
they
then
don't
it's not
listen,
modelled.
it's because the
It's not-
experience
it's
of
not-
listening is not modeled.
It's not modelled. They haven't observed the fact that listening creates some kind of advantage.
Absolutely. I would also like to say
Would you?
acknowledged. They've used the word acknowledged on purpose because to
Well, Scottish
acknowledge a
accent.
desire
Acknowledge,
does not
to be
mean
sure.
to meet it or to fulfill it. Because kids can desire, weird things. Like Zora's greatest wish for her birthday is this horrible cheap plastic animal in a horrible cheap plastic cage that she's seen somewhere in a toy shop, right? And
What?
it's
What are
a
you talking about?
well, she's seen this plastic bunny in a pet carrier kind of thing
And
in a
she-
toy shop, and she wants it for birthday.
Why?
I don't know. She likes it. She liked it for some reason. I don't know why.
She wants a bunny in a bag.
Yeah, basically, she wants a bunny in a bag. It's not a bag. It's more of a cage. It's like one of those.
Oh God, that makes it so much
It's
better.
like that kind of cage that you use for carrying kids when you go to the the vet with the cats.
Oh, it's a carrying basket
thing. Yeah.
or whatever they call it.
So
She wants one of those.
kids can desire
wa-
weird things.
She wants
It
a
doesn't
basket
mean
to-
that you necessarily have to get it for them, right?
You can make one.
But
have to
if you
buy it.
acknowledge the thing is that you have to acknowledge it, right? You have to acknowledge the desire. You say, yes, I know you want that, and it would be a great thing if you could have it, and blah blah blah. But you empathize. You explain why it's not possible. You empathize with the child. You say, yeah, I know you're upset that you can't have it. I know. And it makes the world of a difference because you show to the kid that you're actually listening to what they are telling you, right? If you just wave your hand and you dismiss it because you just think that's just not important, right? And it's easy to think that when kids want something really bad and that thing is just a little plastic terrible thing, right? You could just wave your hand and dismiss it, but that just shows your kid that you don't care, and that's not a good thing to
You
communicate
have to
to your
talk about
children.
the rationale of the gift.
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
And
But it's not just talking about it. The acknowledgement is important. The acknowledgement and the empathy as well, because you can talk to your kid about it and you can say, no, you can't have it because this and this and this, but that still doesn't show them that you're listening,
oh, I get it. You have to go deeper into the topic.
Yeah, you have
I
to
think, with
show
them.
that you understand them. You have to at least try to understand them. And we have to remember that these little things for kids are huge, right?
Oh, of course,
They're
absolutely.
huge.
Yeah.
And especially when it comes to ownership of things, because they have no power.
Don't they remember them like their whole life? You remember those gifts, those birthdays, those presents, those things. They kind of.
Well, not all of them, but some of them stick, yeah. And especially the money situation, right? Because they have very little power when it comes to spending, the family spending, right?
Yeah.
All they can do is just ask for things. And imagine you as an adult not having any power over not having any money to spend and having to ask for everything. And having somebody else telling you, no, that's not important, we're not getting that, that's silly. That probably wouldn't feel very good,
You're quite right that we often forget about the powerlessness in the situation. I mean, imagine walking around, being able to look at so many things, but not being able to choose any of them because you don't have that financial ability yet. It's always.
I think that is also why it's important for kids to get some kind of pocket money, because it gives them at least some kind of control over, even if it's just a little bit of finances. It's still, I think it's an important experience for kids to have.
Well, it's learning how to work with the money, isn't it? It's learning what value is and how value can be created and whether or not something is a good investment, I think, as well.
Yeah.
If you look at it in the right way.
Yeah, because if you don't give them the experience at all, it's very difficult for them later in life to work things out.
Well, yeah, you become used to other people solving it for you.
Yeah.
And that
It's not a good idea. That's never a good idea.
that just
leads to problems.
grows into bigger problems.
Yeah.
Into bigger problems later on. Right, we're really busy and we've got a lot of things to do today
Yeah.
around.
We're
the
going
flat
out with the
and
kids
house,
if it's not raining.
which it is now.
Is
There
it?
you go.
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
great.
You come back. Thank you.
Well, we should get the wellies actually. I'm waiting for a phone call from the courier.
Oh, you
This is
ordered.
I ordered wellies.
You ordered wellies for the kids.
And he should bring them in by 2:00, so that should be good timing. We'll just pop them on and go outside.
Good job.
I know.
Good job.
I
Well
know.
done.
How organized is that?
It's very organized. Almost as organized as my work, which I now have to go and organize.
They're also winter
Mhm.
boots, snow boots, because they have like a sheepskin.
I want to see them.
insert.
I want to see them when they come. I want
Yeah.
to see them.
They should be good. They should be good.
Okay, super cool.
We'll see.
Right. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We are the Practical
Parents.
Parenting podcast parents, sort of,
Yes.
something like that.
That's who we are.
You can catch up with us online. You can leave a question and a comment for us on Facebook or on YouTube, where the information will be mirrored. There are video versions and audio versions, and keep in touch. It's the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching on YouTube and Facebook. The website is www.nsa-slovakia.com.
And it's the 21st Century Mum, spelled mum.com for me. And I am actually working on a Slovak website as well to promote my services in Slovak language. Because a lot of people have been asking, I don't speak English very well. Could you please do something? And it's like, I could have just told them to get a lesson with you and,
The opportunities, lost opportunities,
Yeah.
they never come back.
But
Right.
there you go.
There we go. Today's information was brought to you by us and from the website totallypregnant.com, as opposed to only half pregnant, whatever that might be. Right.
Almost pregnant.
Almost pregnant. Trying
Partially.
hard. But there we go. Wherever you are, have a wonderful day, and we will be back with more information about a lot of things that are coming up that you don't know about and that you don't know about either. Okay. So
Surprise.
surprise.
Woohoo.
Okay, thank you very much for tuning in and paying attention. If you're joining in just now, it all gets repeated on Facebook, so you can go right back to the start. Right.
Yes.
There you go. Cool. Say bye to everybody on Facebook.
See you later.
and
Bye
on
bye,
the
everybody on
podcast.
Facebook, and thank you for watching.
Okay. Bye bye. I just don't know how to
Live
turn
long
it off.
and prosper. May the force be with you.
Tra-la-la. Bum, bum, bum.